race fans, this is a replay, but to be able to watch the finest vintage racing in America live, download the app or scan the QR code and subscribe. Available on both Android and iOS, this is the only place to watch the 2021 season of SVRA live with over 10 hours of coverage each and every weekend. Our unique live stream coverage will bring you all the action from each group, as well as live timing, results and news from the biggest collection of vintage races in the USA. Subscriptions for the race weekend are just $9.99 per weekend or $59.99 for the season. To subscribe, download the SVRA app or scan the QR code now and be part of the future of American vintage racing with SVRA. So welcome back to Road Atlanta as we look down high from the drone on our F4 series. A huge field again, and I think America boasts the biggest field of F4 in the world. F4, of course, the universal, if you will. Around the world, F4 drivers are taking part in this first step into slicks and wings racing. So F4 champions taking part in this sort of racing, straight out of karts mostly, and most of them in their still teens as they get to this level. And there's also some scholarship drivers in this, and I'm delighted to say our future star racing drivers include Britain's
Emily Linscott.
Emily Linscott. I forgot her name for a second, but that's because I'm looking at Chloe Chambers, I think. But
there
Chloe Chambers is the other driver. So we've got two female drivers in our diversity program getting a scholarship to be part of it. Ernie Francis Jr., of course, in the FR Championship. And there's a young Texan from San Antonio, and that rather lavishly painted. And it's Jake Bonilla. Looking forward to seeing what he could do. Another Texan from Prospect in Texas, Chase Gardner. But John Phippen joins me now, and you just heard his dulcet tones a second ago. I know you're as excited as I am, because this, again, is a brand new field. Some returnees, but most of them coming in here for the first time, and we really don't know what to expect from this championship.
Exactly. We've got 28 cars in the field, and 20 of them are making their first start with our championship. So the last couple of years, we have been chock-a-block with rookies in this series, and it is so great to see these kids, most of them coming right out of go-karting with no open wheel experience. This is their first step into open wheel cars, full-size open wheel cars, if you will. And the learning curve can be very steep, but these kids are up to the task. They've already got the racecraft, and this big field of cars is already making its way out onto the pit lane, followed by James Rogerson, who's driving our Honda Civic Type R pace car. The engine in these cars is identical to the one we saw in the Formula Regional cars. The difference is no turbocharger in this case. They're normally aspirated, making just shy of 160 horsepower in this trim. We got a big field, Johnny. Do you want me to run down the
go
starters?
for it. Go for it. We got time?
Yeah, I think we do. Starting outside of row 14, car 28, Will Edwards out of Greenwood, Indiana. Alongside him, a French-born driver currently making his home in the U.S., Oscar Haffar out of Mamaroneck, New York. In row 13, car number 98, Lucas St. John out of Lorraine, Ontario, Canada. Next to him is Ryan Sheehan in the 66 out of Horseshoe Bay, Texas. In row 12, car 23 is Artie Flores out of Leon, Mexico. Next to him, one of our scholarship winners, the 99 of Emily Linscott out of Langdon Hills, Great Britain. In row 11, car 7, Joe Ostelhoff out of Atlanta, Georgia, local driver. Next to him, the 32 of Trevor Russell out of Tucson, Arizona. In row 10, car 36, Justin Arsenault, another of our Canadian drivers from Marin Heights in Quebec. Alongside him, the esports savant who has made his way into real-life racing, the number 20 of Victor Anderson out of Linköping, Sweden. Row 9, the 03 of Hayden Bowlesby, a returning driver out of Folsom, Louisiana. Next to a late entry, but we're glad he's with us, the 74 of Lucas Mann out of Oakville, Canada, driving for Momentum Motorsports. In row 8, car 71, Rodrigo Gutierrez out of Santa Cruz, California, and the 17 of Jose Andres Martinez out of Monterrey, Mexico. Nick Pershing, who you've talked to, Jonathan, in the number 11 out of Morgan Hill, California. Next to our other scholarship recipient, we spoke about her just a moment ago, the 8 of Chloe Chambers out of Monroe, New York. Jake Bonilla out of San Antonio, Texas, in car number 2, next to Chase Gardner in the 33 out of Prosper, Texas. Gabriel Fonseca out of Sao Paulo, Brazil is in the 76 car. He's alongside the 4 of Seth Foley from Elk Ridge, Maryland. Spencer Bucknam, a third-generation racer out of San Luis Obispo, California, is in the 25 car, next to Cooper Becklin from West Lind, Oregon, in car number 91. Matt Clark, the Canadian karting phenom out of Campbellville, Ontario, next to Nico Christodoulou in car number 22. He's a returning driver, also Canadian, out of Maple. Arias Dukmajian is in the number 07 car. He'll start outside of row 2. He is the e-karting number 1 karter in the United States out of Merritt Island, Florida. Next to him, Matt Christensen out of Orlando, Florida in car number 5. And now your front row, the oval specialist, the number 77 of Jason Alder from Cookeville, Maryland. He has his sights set on NASCAR. He's a champion in Legends cars on pavement ovals. But our pole sitter, no surprise here, the man who just won the 2020 NACAM F4 Championship south of the border in Mexico, from Monterrey, Mexico, Noel Leon in car number 19 for D-Force Racing. He set the pole at a 1:28.258, just about a second off the lap record. But again, they qualified yesterday after a day of rain. The track was still drying, so they didn't have ultimate track position. So these 28 drivers coming into position here on the front straightaway. They'll stop in staggered rows. This is just like a Formula One start, as we saw in the Formula Regional Series. As we've got a car being pushed to the line, the number 11 is slow to get there. That's Nick Pershing. It looks like they're having trouble getting that car started. The crew pushing it down the pit lane, trying to get him bump started. Of course, he'll have to start from the pit lane if they can get it to run. But it looks like a problem for that number 11 car of Nick Pershing for the Velocity Racing Development Team.
Massive field and a massive day for these youngsters. Many of them, as you say, coming from karting, but now the focus is on them. They are live streaming around the world. They're dealing with slicks and wings. They're dealing with downforce. They're dealing with an engineer. They're dealing with data for the first time, many of them. This is going to be awe-inspiring and quite nerve-wracking for these youngsters getting ready to hopefully start the ladder to either Indy or Formula One. A chance to win FIA Super License points. Remember, in these championships, these are both FIA Championships, Formula 4, the ladder then to FR Regional Series. As we go, and away they go from the start.
And we've got a car stalled at the back of the pack, and he just gets collected as you saw the flashing rain light. The Honda telemetry has a rain light that if the car stalls, it flashes at high speed to warn the drivers from behind. And sadly, one of the drivers didn't catch it in time and just bumped into the back of him. I'm guessing we will probably go to a safety car here in order to recover these two cars on the front straightaway. Yeah,
we've got two trucks out there to alleviate the situation of two cars stopped on the main straight. The race continues for now, but as you say, we'll have to be under safety. Also, the number 11 of Nick Pershing now making his way towards the end of the pit lane. That might be to his advantage because he wasn't able to take the start, but two cars involved in that incident. But at the front, we've got some great racing. Look at this, side by side through 6.
Jason Alder outside of Noel Leon, the pole sitter, as they're down into turn 7. No indication yet as the cleanup continues here on the front straightaway as they work their way down the long back straightaway. Noel Leon and Jason Alder duking it out for supremacy here at the front of this field.
Well, it's going to be a real shame if it all has to come to naught and they have to slow it all down. But
they do.
Great
Full
start.
course yellow's been called.
Yeah, no surprise. You have to bring out a full course yellow when you have trucks on track like we are. But at the moment, it's Jason Alder who just took the lead over the pole man Noel Leon. Matt Christian got third. Arias. Now you tell me how to pronounce this.
Dukmajian.
Dukmajian, I love it.
Arias Dukmajian, yeah, a phenomenal karting talent, making his way up into open wheel racing. So we're really excited about Arias' future in this series, and he's shown to be quick as he is starting outside of row number 2. One of the cars involved here on the front straightaway, Jose Andres Martinez, I believe he was the car who stalled, and I don't have the number yet on the car behind him.
And just to add to the drum that we've already got, I've just heard that there's a little bit of rain spots starting to form as well. The clouds are dropping low. We've got the drone in the air, so we've got a perfect weather vane out there. And as you can see, this big, massive field of F4 cars now filing past the two cars that sadly are not going to restart.
It's Trevor Russell in the 32 cars, the other car involved there on the front straightaway. Great tip of the hat to the safety crew here at Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta. They've already got that car on the hook. They'll get this situation cleared very quickly.
Yeah, which means we could be starting as early as the next lap. And I hope the engineers are hearing that spots of rain coming down, because that could catch out a few people, because it's not coming down on the whole course at the moment. Often happens at Road Atlanta. It's a very long course. When you go out to 6 and 7, it's about 1.5 miles away from the start finish. And we've had situations here in the past where it's raining on the front straight and nothing at the back, or vice versa. The rain, it looks to me, is coming out of near turn 10, but it's certainly to the back part of the circuit.
It's a little reminiscent of Spa in Belgium, very much the same way. It's a big, elongated
circuit. It's like a mini Spa, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. And it's certainly not uncommon to see it raining on one part of the course and not on another. So the cars have slowed down. They're behind the safety car as Noel Leon and Jason Alder back in the same order in which they qualified. Matt Christensen hangs on to third spot as they came across the line. Arias Dukmajian did lose one position to Nico Christodoulou, who got around him on that opening lap. Matt Clark, the Canadian karter, in the number 26 up into sixth position. That's right where he qualified. Then Cooper Becklin and Spencer Bucknam. Looks like we're going to get a replay of the incident at the start. And if you see it from the rear, you will see it from the front here. Jose.
There's the wave, look.
Yeah, Andre Martinez waved to indicate that he had a problem, but not quite soon enough. The yellow flag's flying there along the pit lane to try to warn the other drivers. But yeah, the 32.
Now you see it.
Yeah, the 32 had nowhere to go.
Yeah. And luckily, he wasn't up to too much speed by then, which is a bit of a respite for both of them, really. But yeah, not an incident you want to see too often.
But just to reiterate, both drivers out of the car and absolutely fine. There was no danger of injury to either of the drivers. It's just a matter of getting these cars cleared off the front straightaway. And once again, the Michelin Raceway Road Atlanta crew has done a fantastic job. I don't know if we'll be able to go green this time. Normally, the pace car would click off the lights right about here. And at the moment, the safety car still has the lights on. So I believe we'll go around one more lap before we release them. These are timed races, so laps don't count. It's strictly who's ahead at the end of 30 minutes. So these laps, are scored, obviously, but it's not a matter of a lap count, but strictly a timed race of 30 minutes duration.
John, it does give us a chance to kind of explain this situation, or effectively explain the structure of F4. We've mentioned already that most of the guys we're watching are coming out of karts, but more importantly, the ladder to success for these guys is already built in. Hunter Yaney, who won this championship last year, moves up to FR, and we've seen it in the past with Josh Carr, for example. He too is in FR, having won the F4 championship. So this is a major championship for these youngsters, because if they can succeed in it, they get a scholarship, and that helps them go to the next level.
Exactly right. There's a 5-step FIA ladder that was solidified when these two championships, the Formula Regional Championship and the F4 Championship, were originated back in around 2015. F4 is the first step right out of karting for these drivers. Those drivers then will graduate to the Formula Regional Series, which is a significantly more a potent race car with about twice the horsepower and a lot more aero. The next step up is the International Formula 3 Series, which travels with Formula 1. Only 27 drivers make the cut from Formula Regional to International Formula 3, and then 20 drivers are fortunate enough, if they can find the funding, to get up to Formula 2.
And while you mention that, Cameron Dass is one of those guys that have done exactly that. He's gone from this series of F4 and then proceeded on to Europe, and he's currently in Europe. Jack Crawford, another American, did it a different way, didn't come to this championship, but he's in the FIA F3 championship this year. Yeah,
Cameron Dass was our initial champion back in 2016, and at the time, the ladder series didn't exist because the Formula Regional Championship didn't start here in this country until 2018. So there was a 3-year gap when after F4 it was kind of like, where do we go now?
Yeah, exactly.
And Cameron Dass took the challenge to go overseas, and he's had great success over there as well. The thing that we're most excited about is that the new scholarship that Honda Motors, not only in this country but also in Japan, have issued for the winner of our Formula Regional Championship. They get a full ride, almost $600,000, to compete in the Japanese Super Formula next year. So there's now a third step on the ladder, all thanks to the folks at Honda, who are obviously our engine supplier and the title sponsor of both of these series.
And when you think of Super Formula, if you're not familiar with it, think Gasly, think Nick Cassidy now in DTM, think there's several drivers, Alex Palou now in IndyCar, so a great opportunity to go up the ladder, and to race in Japan would be just a huge experience for anybody.
Coming to the restart, the lights are out on the safety car. The leader has to maintain safety car pace until he arrives at the top of the hill at the bridge. Nope, the lights are still on. I'm sorry, we are going to go another lap. I thought I saw James click off the lights on the safety car, but he did not, so we're going to go one more lap.
Well, that gives me an opportunity to ask you and put you on the spot, because I like to do that. I'll put myself on the spot first of all. I'm going to say that Nico Christodoulou from Canada should be one of the favourites for this.
Absolutely.
Because he's got the experience. But, as we've seen with Hunter Yaney, sometimes you don't need any experience just to absolutely zap the field. Who are you looking at to really come through or maybe create a surprise this year?
Nico Christodoulou, as you mentioned, certainly has to be the odds-on favorite. He finished highest in the championship in his inaugural season last year. He finished in 7th spot, was on the podium once. Christodoulou finished in the points 10 times over the course of the season, and ended the season strong with his only podium finish at the Circuit of the Americas. So he's got to be one of the favorites, and he qualified well in this race as he started in 5th position. But I'll tell you what, everything I read about this kid, Arias Doukmejian, really seems that he is the future star. If he can acclimate the transition from karts into these cars, he seems to have the racecraft and just the natural ability to go quickly. And so everybody seems to be talking about this Doukmejian kid, and I am really anxious to see how he makes this transition. So far this weekend, he's looked pretty strong, and I think he's in a position to maybe really make some noise this year.
Well, any one of this 29-man and women field could be the future stars. And like I said, we've got scholarship diversity programs in place thanks to Tony Perella, who's taken on the commercial rights to this championship, and that means that the likes of Emily Linscott from Great Britain and New York's Chloe Chambers, I'm going to get a chance to speak to her tomorrow. I haven't met her yet, but she too has made a real stir. She's actually a Guinness World Record holder, did you know?
In the slalom, believe it or not.
I didn't know there was such a thing.
She drove a box stock Porsche 718 to the Guinness World's Record for the slalom. So clearly she's got quick hands and all the necessary car control to make that sort of thing happen. So we're real excited to have Chloe in the field. That's something that you don't often see. In fact, a lot of people don't realize Chloe appeared in the David Letterman show. My next guest needs no introduction, with Lewis Hamilton. There was a sidebar where David went to a go-kart track and tried to get into a kart and race himself, and Chloe was one of his opponents. So Chloe actually got some screen time on Netflix. So she's a bit of a star in her own right. And Emily Linscott, again from your hometown, not her hometown, but from your home country in Great Britain, has been just a phenom at promoting herself, raising funds to get herself into this race seat. She's already raised enough money to compete in 4 rounds, and believes she's going to have enough before the end of this weekend to get through the entire 6 rounds.
Well, let me tell you, she came on my Speed City radio show a couple of weeks ago, and how about this for a triumvirate? Her mentor, her person looking after it, is Pippa Mann, IndyCar driver from Great Britain. Her team manager is Tina Larson. So she has a complete female outlook. As we go back to racing here again in F4, the green flag waves here at Road Atlanta, and away they go. And a good start from Noel Leon, the pole man. Jason Alder will chase him over the line. Matt Christensen third. Christodoulou, the man we were mentioning, as the field starts to spread out and jostle for position, into turn 1 they go.
Christensen dives to the inside, looking for a way around Jason Alder. Not quite able to get it, but he's got to watch as Christodoulou is right on his wheels as they make their way side by side into turn number 3. And Christodoulou's gotten it done. He's worked his way up around Matt Christensen. Arias Doukmejian in the 07 back just a little bit further, but right at the moment, Noel Leon, the reigning NACAM F4 champion, was able to get a good jump at the start.
Don't say rain. You'll only make it happen.
Exactly right. Leon and Alder getting away just a little bit from the 3rd place runner, Christodoulou. And Christodoulou has got Matt Christensen right behind him. And then there is the 26 of Matt Clark, the Canadian phenom. He's another driver that everybody says keep your eyes on. He's won everything he's ever ridden in, and he's going to be a driver to watch.
Yeah, well, his dad told me to watch him yesterday. He came in and introduced himself and brought his CV, and that's how you know when he's using Latin terms like curriculum vitae, you know he's a Canadian, because they don't really use that here. But the man from Campbellville, Ontario, definitely one to watch. He's done everything he can in Canada, and now he's coming to take on America.
Right now we've got a two-horse race as Alder and Leon have pulled away just a bit from the field. You can see them fanning out 2 and 3 wide in the braking zone. There goes a move from the number 2. The
oh, look at this for the lead!
Indeed.
Side by side.
Down into turn number 1. Alder trying to be late on the brakes, and I think he's going to get it done. Alder stuffs it down there. Leon gives him racing room. Jason Alder takes over the point.
Yeah, but is this over as they go up the hill over the blind crest? It's first and second going at it. It's third and fourth going at it. 2 distinct battles here as they come down the S's for the second time. And after that slight delay, we are off to the races, quite literally. A really, really good start to this one. Jason Alder doing the business. And look at this battle, too.
That's
third place.
Christodoulou and Matt Christensen going after it for 3rd and 4th position. Right now, Christodoulou at the front in the gray car, but Christensen in the blue and red livery of the Jay Howard team right behind him. And then a good battle behind them. Matt Clark, Arias Dukmajian, and Cooper Becklin nose to tail. So we've got great battles at the front of this field all throughout this 28-car field.
I'm getting some great texts from Gustavo Yackerman, the man who runs the Academy, of course, and he's been telling me his boys are doing right at the front there with Jason Alder, of course, and Matt Clark doing the business, having done the Winter Series. So they are home. They've done their winter testing, they've done their winter racing, and they are ready to race, and that's what we wanted here from the first round.
Here goes Leon trying to get that position back down into turn 10A, the best passing opportunity on the track. Alder having none of it, able to hold his position. Dan
Mitchell's hair will be curling more than it already is watching this as his VRD competitors. They're side by side again into turn 1. Poor old Hamish has got the job today. He is doing a really good job of focusing hard on this battle because again they go side by side into turn 1. An excellent battle as Alder takes the advantage again.
Yeah, Leon repays the favor that Jason Alder did for him just a lap ago and was able to get himself back to the front. So the pole sitter at the point one more time. Jason Alder right behind him. That battle behind between Christodoulou and Christensen just as hot as it's been. That's going on about a 1.5 seconds behind our leaders. And then this 3-way battle. That's Matt Clark in that white with orange and blue livery machine. Just behind him is Dukmajian in the 07. Cooper Becklin slots back 1 in the 91 car, back in 3rd in that train.
I'm keeping an eye on what else is moving down the field because it's such a big field. No change really, too much anyway. We lost Trevor Russell, as you know, and we lost Martinez in that crash early on. The fog has lifted here, but now the rain is starting to move in on the heavy cloud cover. So our drone pilot doing a heck of a job there, bouncing around on the clouds and looking down on turn 8 and 9 here at the famous, iconic Road Atlanta circuit. So, out goes the safety car again.
Safety car calls into play as we can see one of the safety wreckers making its way out of the pit lane to an incident, as there it is. We see a car off rather heavily.
Seth Foley it is.
I'm guessing that's at turn 1. You can see Seth with his head in his hands, disgusted, I'm sure, with himself. Turn 1 is so tricky here. If you don't get it just exactly right, that car can get away from you in a heartbeat. If you take a little bit too much curb, that car is definitely in trouble. But again, the safety features built into these cars are such a significant point of the design of this class of racing. Realize there are some 13 or 14 F4 championships all around the world.
Yeah.
The cars all built to the same very rigid FIA specification, and the designers and the builders of these cars have really kind of a dual challenge because the cost of the car is capped. It's dictated in the regulations as how much the cost can be. This car with an engine is about $60,000 thereabouts.
The one that's just crashed may not be worth that as much.
Exactly right. Yeah, the parents' pockets got a little bit shallower of the number 4 car of Seth Foley, but But nonetheless, so the cars have to be built to these very stringent safety requirements, but they have to be built to a cost target as well. And so tip of the hat to Ligier North America. These cars are built right here in this country. Even though it's badged a Ligier, you think, oh, well, that's a French chassis. Absolutely. It was designed and built right here in Denver, North Carolina. The engines from Honda are built in Marysville, Ohio at their engine plant. They ship them out to Honda Performance Development in California, where they fit the dry sump lubrication system, all the things they need to turn a street engine into a racing engine. And the tires, Hankook tires, of course, the company headquartered in Seoul, Korea, but their U.S. operation headquartered in Nashville. Danny Von Dongen handles all of the racing tire distribution for the spec tire for the series. So everything is homegrown here in this country, despite the fact that there's a lot of international names attached to the various components of the car.
The clock continues to tick down at 12 minutes and 28 seconds, and so therefore the race continues. And you say it is a race against the clock, quite literally. The man leading at the end of the clock ticking down, unless they red flagging, of course, because that when we have a red flag situation often, and depending on how badly the damage is to the wall there, and also Seth Foley, we want to make sure that he is okay first and foremost. And as you can see, we are under caution here at Road Atlanta after Seth Foley hit the barriers at turn 1 quite heavily. And as soon as we can get that situation cleared up, we will. And hopefully we'll go back to racing and at least get a couple of minutes racing. I'm keeping an eye on the weather as well. The wind is starting to get up, and that usually means that rain will follow. The clouds are heavy and grey, but so far we've managed to avoid it, except for a little bit of drizzle.
Just a quick recap of the running order now that we are under the safety car for the second time in this race. Noel Leon leading from the pole, but it has been a dandy battle with Jason Alder in the 77 car for Velocity Racing Development. Nico Christodoulou, the returning driver we talked about, who had the best record a season ago with some 10 points paying finishes, is holding on to the final podium step right now. Matt Christensen, however, giving him a good battle in that 5 car for Jay Howard. Matt Clark, the Canadian phenom in the 26, is 5th. Arias Dukmajian, his counterpart, if you will, on this side of the border, is currently in the 7th spot. Cooper Becklin in the 91 is, or the 6th, excuse me. Cooper Becklin in the 91 is in 7th. Spencer Bucknam, 3rd generation racer. His dad is Jeff. His grandfather is the legendary Ronnie Buckman. He is currently in 8th spot. Rodrigo Gutierrez inherits 9th position. That is where Seth Foley was running prior to his off. So Gutierrez takes over 9th, and in the final points paying position, your man Jake Bonilla in the number 2 car out of San Antonio, Texas.
John, at the restart, keep an eye on Matt Clark in 5th position and Arias Dukmajian, because I think both those guys showed real pace at the early part of this race, and at the restart they'll be chomping at the bit to try and get up and a level with Matt Christensen.
Yeah, Matt Clark actually has the 4th fastest lap of the race, as he is quicker than everybody with the exception of the top 3, so he'll definitely be one to watch.
I love the fact that, talking to Matt Clark, his ambition is to become an IndyCar driver, and if he can't do that, he wants to become a racing engineer. Now that, I like the practicality of it.
Absolutely right, absolutely right. These kids get racing in their blood at a very young age, and they just want to be a part of it some way or the other. And there are so many good engineers in racing, all the way up to Formula One, who started out as drivers and found out, well, you know, I had fun, but I really don't have the natural talent that you got to have to get to the very top levels. So they shift gears and they go into the engineering side of racing, and it's great to see that sort of diversity. And Mac, being a real realist, realizes that, you know, despite how good he is as a karter, if it doesn't work out in open wheel racing, he's going to hook his wagon to a different career path.
Well, he's in the right group because he's with the speed group, and of course James Hinchcliffe involved in that. The very, very impressive race management team that looks after young drivers. Will Owen, one of their drivers, has gone on to fame and fortune in Europe, and of course when someone like James Hinchcliffe is keeping an eye on you, you know you're in good fettle.
Yeah, and you want to give a shout out to Mac's team, too. It's Ganella Racing, another of the new teams that is joining us for the first season. Their other driver, Artie Flores, a driver born in Mexico, currently making his home in Texas. Arturo is his given name, but he's known as Artie. So Artie and Mac Clark in that new Ganella Racing team, and they have definitely shown that they've got what it takes to make for good pace. The clock's still ticking with about 8.5 minutes remaining. The recovery work still going on for the crash of Seth Foley. They're at turn number 1, and hopefully we'll be able to get that cleared and get back underway before the time expires.
We mentioned Emily Linscott. She's moved up the field to 18th position and trying to get into some point scoring in her first race in the United States, racing for the Kiwi team, of course the championship winning team.
Exactly, yeah. Crosslink Kiwi has been a dominant force in the racing throughout the course of the season.
There she is in that number 99.
Yep, she's in that number 99.
And look at the sponsors, too. She's got a bunch of sponsors on that car. I had a closer look at that car earlier in the weekend, and she really is hustling. Not unlike, I remember Pippa Mann when I used to do her Formula Renault days, when she was the same age as her. So she's doing a good job of hustling, and she's come to the States to make her name. And she's a good example of what I'm talking about. There is a huge fraternity of racing in England. Why she come here? She sees this as a better opportunity. She's got the scholarship. She wants to, get the development of women's racing going here, and she feels that the United States is the best place to do it.
And I want to give a shout out to her team owner. Tina Larson is one of the co-owners of Crosslink Kiwi Motorsports. Tina had aspirations as a racer in her youth, about the same time that she was the same age as Emily. And I don't want to give away Tina's age, but let's just say that was prior to the year 2000. And this was, pre-internet, pre the time when there was all this opportunity for promotion and raising money. It was a different time, so the opportunities that these young women have to get into racing at this level is unprecedented. That we have more females in the 2 championships than we've had over the course of our entire history. It's great to have these young ladies here. And again, tip of the hat to Tony Perella and the Perella Motorsports Holdings Scholarship, the Diversity Scholarship, which provides all of the entry fees for the recipients. Sunoco, our fuel partner, provides a stipend for their race fuel throughout the course of the season, and Ligier provides a parts voucher for them to defray the cost of any spare parts that they might need over the course of the season. So it's a real leg up, and again, tip of the hat to Tony for making that available to these young drivers. But Tina said she almost gets a tear in her eye when she thinks about Emily and the opportunities that she's still got in front of him that she wishes she had back in the day. But she's her biggest cheerleader. Tina's really looking for Emily to have a good season.
Yeah, and the diversity program is deeper than just the drivers themselves. We've got the likes of Al Unser Jr. and Sarah Fisher, one of the most successful, in fact, the one female who's done more IndyCar 500 starts than any other, and in their corner, effectively helping them develop. So this program is not just a hearsay or not just a little bit of drop in the ocean. This is a real development program. As you can see, they are coming through 10A at the moment. And still, with 5 minutes to go, we are still under safety. So this race could end up this way, which will be no shame, of course, to the man leading the way at the moment, Noel Leon, the pole man. And he is in that all-blue number 19, Jason Alder behind him. But it's been a rare old battle. I hope we get at least a racing lap under our belts before the end of this race, but we are winding it down now.
Race control is in my ear, and it's looking like they may have to finish this one under the safety car. They're still working to try to get that done.
So you're watching the F4 Americas Championship, the first of the year here at Road Atlanta. It's a long season ahead. We've got some great racing to come, more racing to come from this championship both today and tomorrow. And we will be looking for the future stars, people tuning in around the world on our live stream to see where the future prospects are for Formula Racing. this field, some of them will go to Indy, some of them will go to sports cars, some of them may well go to Europe and the FIA F3 Championship after this. That's what they're looking to do. Maybe, just maybe, there's an American future Haas driver amongst them that will represent the United States finally after a few years of Haas on the grid. And I say Haas, it could be any Formula One team. There's a lot of American interest now in Formula One, and they are watching this series and the FR Series very, very closely to see where the future Hunter Yenis, where the future Carl Kirkwoods, and where the future Logan Sargents are coming from.
And Jonathan, we're just getting word they were able to complete the cleanup. We are going to get one lap of green flag racing. As the safety car pulls away, will begin to pull away from the field.
The lights
you can see
off.
The lights are out. The safety car will pull away from the field. The leader, Noel Leon, is required to maintain safety car pace as they work their way down the hill.
Wow, this is a great opportunity for Jason Alder. He's done it at turn 1 twice now. Can he do it again?
Nico Christodoulou right behind him. Matt Christensen with maybe his best opportunity. Matt Clark and Duke Magian in 5th and 6th. I'm looking forward to this as it's going to be all out on their run down the hill and toward turn 1.
And like I said before, Duke Magian and Matt Clark, watch out for them to try and go for the podium. Here we go. The green flag waves and away goes Leon. And that was a Lionel start. That was superb. Away he went. No problems at the restart there.
Christodoulou tries to go down the inside of Jason Alder, but not quite able to close the deal. So Christodoulou falls back into 3rd spot. Matt Christensen right behind him, and Matt Clark dives to the inside of Christensen right at the top of the hill.
I knew he would have a go.
Yes, indeed, as they work their way down the hill through the S's right now. Leon and Alder, just as they did early in the race, beginning to draw away just a little bit from the battle behind. Christodoulou all by himself in 3rd spot. Matt Christensen has got company. Matt Clark right behind
somebody's
him.
Blown as well. I saw a big puff of smoke come out of the back of one of the cars, and there it is. It's the 33 that's gone off.
That's Chase Gardner.
Another Texan biting the dust here at Road Atlanta, and out of the car goes Chase, and he's chasing no one right now except his tail.
Dust, literally. It's so disappointing for Chase, but clearly he's out of the car and okay. But we'll turn our attention back to the racing still going on. We may get another lap. We've still got a minute and 40 seconds here.
Let's hope we do. And what an exciting chance. We're going to keep an eye on Jason Alder, though, because Jason was right behind him, and there he is, side by side as they come down towards 10. It's neck and neck between these two, but on the inside, Jason Alder's got the better line and takes the lead for VRD.
But Noel Leon is really strong down this hill, down into turn 12, and that gives him a great run down the front straightaway. Here he goes again, just nipping the curb. Alder is going to try to guard the inside. He's going to make Leon go around the long way at turn number 1. That's going to be tough to do. Leon keeps his foot in it. They're still side by side.
Oh, what a drag race, but he's done it. Nicely done. That is really impressive driving by both these youngsters here, learning their racecraft, but already showing just how good they are. Side by side, coming up to the S's and down the hill. Finally, just going into the lead again, Jason Alder just holding off. What a race these two have had.
Yeah, they're going to have one more opportunity. And look, there's Christodoulou and Christensen closing right up on the back of Noel Leon. It's a 4-car battle at the lead. This is the final lap. The white flag is in the air. Duke Magian coming under some pressure just behind him. That's Spencer Bucknam. But here they come down the hill. Alder guarding that inside line as they work their way down into turn 6, hurting over toward turn 7. This will be the last best opportunity at the bottom of the hill at turns 10A and 10B.
Christodoulou trying everything. The Canadian looking for a chance to get to 2nd place. This is the final lap here at Road Atlanta. It's starting to clear up in terms of weather, but down on the track there is nothing between Alder and Leon as it's been throughout this race. But at the moment, Jason Alder in the 77 for Velocity Racing Development Team is out front. But look at this battle for 2nd. It's a 4-way battle for the podium. Look at this.
3 wide down into the turn. It's Christodoulou and Noel Leon going side by side. This is the battle for 2nd and 3rd. Leon goes wide, trying to force Christodoulou off the racing line. Alder's going to take the win. Leon gets it done. There's Christodoulou in 3rd spot with Matt Christensen coming home in 4th. How close do you like it, Jonathan?
As Lee Diffie once said, how close do you like it? I absolutely love it. If that's what we're going to get for the season, I'm in. Sign me up.
Absolutely. Jonathan's going to make his way over to interview our victorious driver. But what a final lap for Jason Alder as he was able to put the foot to the metal and able to draw away from the pole sitter, Noel Leon. And Leon had to guard for his life for relinquishing second spot from Nico Christodoulou, who did a fantastic job after the restart to close the gap and stay in touch with the leaders. Matt Christensen right behind him. Leon and Christensen really doing a fantastic job to finish up just outside the podium. Matt Clark, the Canadian Carter, in the number 26, comes home in 5th spot. Cooper Becklin in 6th. Arias Dukmajian didn't have a great restart as he lost a couple spots on that last lap, but it was so close. The top 7 cars finished within 2.5 seconds of each other. Just behind him was Jake Bonilla. A great run for Jake, another returning driver. Jake's best effort was a 7th twice last season, and so he is matching one of his best performances, finishing 8th in the very first race of the season. Spencer Bucknam faded eventually into 9th at the end of the race, and Rodrigo Gutierrez coming home in the top 10. What a fantastic way to start the weekend for our F4 U.S. Championship powered by Honda. Jason Alder taking the win. This is an oval racing specialist. This kid winning in Legends cars and takes the win. Jason Alder in the 77, taking the win. The margin of victory, 1.6 seconds. Noel Leon, the pole sitter and the reigning NACAM F4 champion in Mexico, takes 2nd position. Nico Christodoulou in the 22 for Velocity Racing Development. Matt Christensen in the 5 car for Jay Howard comes home in the 4th spot. Matt Clark, about 2 seconds back, takes home 5th spot. Cooper Becklin, not just the 6th position, 7th to Arias Dukmajian in the 07 car for Crosslink Kiwi. Jake Bonilla in the 2 car. Spencer Bucknam just behind him. In 9th, and the final points-paying position goes to Rodrigo Gutierrez. Chloe Chambers, the Future Star Racing pilot and the recipient of the scholarship, just misses points in her first race of the season as she'll finish in 11th. Gabriel Fonseca having a great run into 12th. The iRacing phenom Victor Anderson comes home in 13th position. Lucas Mann for Momentum Motorsports has a good, strong finish in 14th. 15th goes to Hayden Bowlesby. As the cars making their way down the pit lane, they'll be heading down to Jonathan Green as he'll have an opportunity to interview our winner, Jason Alder. And then once that's concluded, we'll wrap up our coverage here, getting ready for the next racing on the calendar, as Jonathan will be back in the booth with Ben Sisson. Right after the lunch break, we'll be back with the Formula Regional Americas race number 2. We had an exciting race this morning for FR Americas, and they'll be back with us just after the lunch break. As you can see, Jason Alder pulling the victorious number 77 from Velocity Racing Development into position, getting congratulations from his crew. The steering wheel comes off. He's working his way out of the cockpit, and he'll be there to celebrate.
Over here, buddy. Over here.
Jonathan Green making his way with the camera crew down there, giving you these great pictures.
All right, back up on the car.
And let's send it down to Jonathan Green. Johnny, you've got the winner.
Yeah, he's getting congratulations from everybody. I'm going to wait till he gets his helmet off. But Jason Alder is absolutely apoplectic after what was a fantastic display. Get your helmet off, Sunshine. Let's have a chat with you. Jason Alder went wheel to wheel with the poleman, Leon, for the whole race in the 77. He had to wait. He had to do the safety car. I want to know what his strategy, if any, he had, because he's finally got the helmet off. Jason, well done, first and foremost. But take me through how you planned that, because I guess you couldn't, but there were certain places, certainly at turn 1, where you looked to have the advantage.
Yeah, I feel real confident through turn 1. These Velocity cars just, I think it really suit our driving style, and I'm really glad that we were able to start the season off like this. But yeah, in terms of strategy, I really didn't know what to expect going in. This is my first start in this championship, and really my first national start in open wheel race cars. So honestly, I didn't know what was going through my mind. In the end, it was really just survive and see what we can do.
I was reading your bio. You started at 6. Can you believe where you are now, doing what you're doing in front of all this crowd?
Oh no, it's amazing. I totally did not expect this. Even if you told me a year ago that I would be here in Victory Lane, I don't know if I would have believed you.
Now the question is, can you keep it going for the weekend?
Oh yeah, that's the goal. We're gonna see what we can do for the season coming up.
Remember the name, Jason Alder, our first winner.
Congratulations to Jason Alder. What a great way to start his season as he takes the win for Velocity Racing Development, the team that took the Hunter Yaney to the championship just a year ago.